Well, let's get you our top story now. And a total of 67 deaths have taken place in western UP's Firozabad and Mathura districts due to a dengue hemorrhagic fever, a severe form of dengue virus, over the past 10 days. The majority of those cases, 52 including 40 children, were reported from Firozabad. A 6-member team from the National Center for Disease Control consisting of entomologists and experts in vector-borne diseases had been rushed to the affected area. The report expected today. Hospitals are full of sick children and adults, and heartbreaking scenes like this one outside Firozabad Hospital, where desperate parents are trying to get their children admitted. A mother even falling to the feet of a doctor as her 12-year-old child was not getting admission. The doctor helped getting the child admitted.
अगर हमारे यहाँ इस समय 540 बच्चे हैं, अगर एडमिट नहीं करते तो ये नौबत ना आती। और एक यहाँ सब एडमिट होना चाह रहे हैं, वो कह रहे हैं हमें एक बिस्तर पर लिटा दो 2 लोगों को, हमें कोई परेशानी नहीं है। बात भी सही है। इस समय हमारा मकसद ये नहीं देखना है कि क्या है क्या नहीं है, हमारा मकसद सिर्फ मरीज की जान बचाना है, चाहे वो जैसे भी बचे। इसलिए हमने जैसी संज्ञान में लिया, अगर अंदर आया होता तो ऐसा नहीं है, मैं वहीं कुर्सी डाल के बैठी हूँ कि किसी मरीज को तकलीफ ना हो।
Well, let's go across to Alok for more details. And Alok, it's been over 10 days of this fever. Initially, it was a mysterious fever. Now, the central team that came there says it's a severe form of dengue, and the final report awaited today. But the scenes in the hospitals are just heartbreaking.
Well, they absolutely are, Gargi. In fact, we've been reporting that this is severe dengue for a while now. The official confirmed death toll as of today in just Firozabad, in just one district, is 52 deaths, Gargi. Now, of these 52, at least 40 are children. At least 40 are children, and these children had died till Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, the official death toll is a further 2 deaths, but the administration has not clarified whether these are children or adults, but they are most likely children. So, this is a scenario where now you have 42 children deaths and a further 15 deaths of adults in just one district, which is Firozabad. And just look at those scenes at the hospital. I mean, just look at them. They're very disheartening and very shocking to see. And even the doctor's desperation comes out in the way that she's saying it, I mean, she says that, even if we have to put 2 children on one bed, we are going to have to do it because our priority is to save lives. Now, what is happening is that not only are dengue cases coming through, but also cases of a disease called scrub typhus and a third disease called leptospirosis. Now, these are also serious diseases, but a majority of the deaths are taking place because of dengue. Now, because this is the nodal hospital in that district for treating dengue cases, many parents are rushing with their children to this hospital. Now, this family that you see outside on the grounds also had a 12-year-old boy who had got severe fever, high fever in fact, and they were waiting outside hoping that they would be admitted. Finally, the media saw them and they filmed them, and then they went inside and called the senior doctors, including the principal of the medical college there. And she personally intervened and got him admitted. But that's not an ideal situation, Ideally, what should happen is that even the rural hospitals, which are the CHCs and the PHCs, they should also be equipped enough to handle these cases. And that is what Chief Medical Officer is now saying, that we are going to equip the rural hospitals, which are the community health centers or the primary healthcare centers, with adequate infrastructure so that parents can even bring their children there. But then one could certainly ask the question as to whether this is a case of too little, too late.
Look, and also, why hasn't it happened till now? We know the Chief Minister also visited this area. We know that, there's been a lot of attention. Opposition has also been raising it. Akhilesh Yadav, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra have been talking about it. So even now, to see these scenes is just heartbreaking.
It is. You're absolutely right. In fact, if we go through a timeline of how things have played out just in Firozabad, you've had the Chief Minister go there last Monday. So it's been a full week since the Chief Minister went there. And then you had a very senior official of the UP government also visit since Friday. I guess he would still be there, or at least he was there for the 2 days that we reported on Friday and Saturday. And he was the Principal Secretary of the Medical Education Department. So with the presence of such senior ministers, the Chief Minister himself, such senior officials, one wonders why this is the situation. In fact, my colleague Meher, who was reporting from Firozabad on the ground, had also told us that the adjacent building had been prepared where extra beds had been got. But one wonders whether it is enough, because ultimately this was called the 100-bedded hospital. So if at the moment there are 400 to 500 patients there, one wonders how they are managing. But one does hope that these things will improve and we'll not get to see these desperate scenes. No one deserves it. And that child probably got saved because the principal intervened, but not every parent may be as lucky, and one doesn't want luck really to play a part. Everyone should be getting the medical attention they deserve.
Absolutely. And given that the Chief Minister himself visited, one would imagine with the experience of COVID, we'd be able to set up, temporary hospital tents, rooms, something to ensure that this influx of children who are just suffering from this disease can get the best treatment. Thanks so much, Alok, for joining us with those details. Well, let's shift focus now and get to the latest on Afghanistan, where the leader of the Afghan opposition group that's been resisting Taliban forces in the Panjshir Valley north of Kabul has said that he welcomed proposals from religious scholars for a negotiated settlement to end the fighting. Ahmad Massoud, head of the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, that's what they've called themselves, made the announcement on the group's Facebook page. Earlier, Taliban forces said they had fought their way into the provincial capital of Panjshir after securing the surrounding areas. The statement from Ahmad Massoud says the National Resistance Front ready to stop war immediately, ready to stop war to achieve stable peace, will stop war if Taliban ends military attacks, will stop war if Taliban ends the movements in Panjshir. Hope the Taliban will end the war with scholars in inclusive gathering. However, there was no immediate response from the Taliban. But a spokesperson of Afghanistan's resistance front was killed during the ongoing fighting in Panjshir. This according to several reports, as the Taliban said their forces had entered the capital. Reports about the death of Fahim Dashti, the spokesperson for the National Resistance Front, also appeared on several Twitter accounts of the resistance force. He's somebody that many of the media had interviewed as well about the resistance force. And the tweet says, regretfully, the National Resistance of Afghanistan lost two companions in the resistance against oppression and aggression today, Mr. Fahim Dashti and General Abdul Wudod Zara. And Fahim Dashti is somebody that NDTV had also spoken to earlier about the resistance.
If we didn't succeed, and if we all being killed here in the resistance, again, this is a winning situation for us, because the history will write about us, that there were people who stand it for their nation and for their country to the end of the line.
And Fahim Dashti has now been killed. Well, returning to news from India and political news now, the Trinamool Congress leader Abhishek Banerjee, who is Mamata Banerjee's nephew, is now on his way to Delhi from Kolkata to appear before the Enforcement Directorate for investigation into the theft of coal from mines in Bengal's Asansol area, allegedly in connivance with the public sector officers. His wife, Rujira, was to go to the ED's Delhi office on the 1st of September, but declined, citing her 2 young children, and asked the ED to question her at her home in Kolkata instead. Mr. Banerjee said he was ready for any probe, but without naming Suvendu Adhikari, asked why the BJP leader was not charge-sheeted in the Narda bribery case, in which he was recorded on camera taking cash. Adhikari has to appear before the Bengal police on Monday that's today, for a probe into the unnatural death of one of his security guards in 2018.
I am ready to face any and every kind of investigation. কিন্তু জনসমক্ষে আনছেন না কেন? এই যে চিঠি দিচ্ছেন, ডাকছেন, কলকাতার কেস আমাকে ডেকে পাঠিয়েছে দিল্লিতে। হেরে গেছে রাজনৈতিকভাবে মোকাবিলা না করতে পেরে তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের সাথে। এখন প্রতিহিংসা পরায়ণ রাজনীতিতে নেমেছে। আমার বিরুদ্ধে যদি কিছু থাকে আপনারা জনসমক্ষে আনুন। কিন্তু যাদেরকে হাত পেতে হাত বাড়িয়ে টিভির পর্দায় টাকা নিতে দেখা গেল, নির্দ্বিধায় নির্লজ্জভাবে, ইডির তখন কি চোখে ছানি পড়ে যায় না সিবিআইয়ের চোখে ছানি পড়ে যায়? চার্জশিটে তাদের নাম থাকে না।
In other news, farmers protesting against the centre's farm laws will campaign in the name of the Prime Minister. That's what farmer leader Rakesh Tikait said in a tongue-in-cheek message, making it clear that the farmers protesting against the centre's new farm laws will campaign against the BJP in next year's state elections in Uttar Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand.
A mega show strength by farmers at the historic state ground of Muzaffarnagar to the streets on Sunday, making the point that their movement is as strong as ever and will continue. All leaders of the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, including Naresh and Rakesh Tikait, were present on stage. Even nearby flyovers were occupied by farmers. The strategy to underline their strength from the stronghold of farm leaders in Mahendra Singh Tikayat and Chaudhary Charan Singh. At the epicenter of communal riots in 2013, Rakesh Tikayat was seen vowing Hindu-Muslim unity.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! ये नारे लगते थे हर हर महादेव और अल्लाहू अकबर के नारे इसी धरती पर लगते थे.
Farm leaders present also said that they would appeal door to door asking people not to vote for the BJP in UP.
ये देश हमारा है, ये प्रदेश हमारा है, ये जिले हमारे हैं. इस तरह की अगर सरकारें देश में होंगी तो ये दंगे करवाने का काम करेगी. ये नारे हमेशा लगते रहेंगे. दंगा यहाँ पर नहीं होगा, ये तोड़ने का काम करेंगे.
Balia Khap chief and Rakesh Tikayat's older brother Naresh Tikayat was also heard blaming BJP for the riots.
हमारे साथ में धोखा हुआ 2013 में. हम समझ नहीं पाए थे. इन्होंने हिंदू मुस्लिम दंगे करवा के हमारे पे तो वोट छीन ली.
The farmers have announced Kisan Mahapanchayats in UP from the Prime Minister's Lok Sabha seat Varanasi to Chief Minister Yogi's Gorakhpur. Rashtriya Lokdal Chief Jayant Chaudhary wanted to rain flowers on the farmers with a helicopter, but the administration did not give permission.
कि अन्नदाता भगवान का रूप. हमने निर्णय लिया कि हेलीकॉप्टर का प्रयोग कर आज इस महापंचायत में जुटे किसानों पर हम आसमान से पुष्प की वर्षा करवाएंगे.
No opposition leader was seen at the Kisan Mahapanchayat, but banners of all opposition parties were seen in Muzaffarnagar town. With Saurabh Shukla in Muzaffarnagar, Sana Marwaha for NDTV.
And prohibitory orders banning large gatherings have been imposed in Haryana's Karnal, where farmers have planned another mega gathering on Tuesday. Now, there is tension in the area. This was the site of the August 28 violence, which has enraged farmers, and demands have been raised for the dismissal of Ayush Sinha, the IS officer from Karnal, whose direction to the police to crack heads was caught on camera, which evoked outrage. Sinha, who is the sub-divisional magistrate of Karnal, has been removed from his post. News now from Raipur, where a Christian priest was beaten up by a right-wing Hindu mob right inside a police station over allegations of forcible religious conversions. This followed heated arguments between members of the angry crowd and those who had accompanied the pastor to the premises after they were called in for questioning. The incident took place in the Purani Basti police station in Raipur. The police had received complaints of alleged forcible religious conversions being carried out in that area, taking cognizance of the attack and the police have filed a case against 7 people.
ये पुरानी बस्ती थाना क्षेत्र का मामला है. इसमें एक पक्ष आवेदन देने के लिए आया था कि जबरन वहाँ पे धर्मांतरण कराया जा रहा है, प्रार्थना कराई जा रही है, तो उसी पक्ष का आवेदन देने आया था. इसी बीच में दूसरा पक्ष भी आया, तो दोनों पक्षों में यहाँ पे झुमाझटकी हुई है. उसमें स्थिति को अभी वर्तमान में नियंत्रित कर लिया गया है और उसमें जो आवेदन आए हैं उसके हिसाब से जाँच करके वैधानिक कार्रवाई की जा रही है. हाँ, एक पक्ष की तरफ से आई है कि धर्मांतरण कराया जा रहा है जबरदस्ती. दूसरे पक्ष ने मारपीट की, थाने में घुस के मारपीट किया गया है, ऐसी शिकायत की.
Welcome back. Now, the KEM Hospital and Research Center at Vadu in Pune will start enrolling minors and children for the phase 2 and 3 clinical trials of the vaccine Covovax from today. Enrollment of 12 to 17 age group will be done at the Bharti Hospital in Dankawade and KEM Hospital's Vadu branch. These are among the 10 sites across the country where 920 minors will be enrolled. Last year, American vaccine maker Novavax Inc. had announced a license agreement with the Serum Institute of India for development and commercialization of its COVID vaccine candidate Covovax among adults. The process of vaccination of Covovax in adults during clinical trials has been completed. Well, let's now focus on Mumbai, and with a surge in COVID detections in the last few days, Mumbai is back among the top 5 districts in the state on the parameter of active cases. COVID cases in Mumbai had stabilized between 200 to 300 in the first 3 weeks of August, making the city slip down to 7th rank. But Mumbai reported 496 fresh cases, the highest since the 10th of July, and over 400 cases now for the 5th day in a row. To talk more about this, we're now joined by Dr. Vikas Oswal, pulmonologist. Dr. Oswal, so this is a bit alarming or worrying, rather indications of, the rise in cases beginning and something that authorities will have to look into.
Yeah. Good morning, Gagi. A very warm morning. Yes, the cases right now, 450 plus cases in this past 24 hours is somewhere heartbreaking, yes. But one thing is very sure that the cure rate or the recovery rate is very good right now, 97% of recovery rate. And already we have reached around, a good number of vaccination, and we have become the first city in India rather who is having a maximum vaccination right now. But even after this kind of vaccination, still 450 plus cases, somewhere it denotes that we have somewhere pulled down our gears. That is, we are not following the major rule of social distancing using mask sanitization. Somewhere we have maybe a bit made it ease, but right now we need to be taking utmost care of not lowering down these gears. It is too early for these right now.
And this is something that's expected, Doctor, with restrictions being eased, people traveling more, work now pretty regular. So this was something that's expected, and as you said, needs to be watched closely. And the good news is you're saying not too many hospitalizations.
Yes, there are not too many hospitalizations. Recovery rate is very good. You will find 97% of recovery rate right now at given point of time, which is a very good news. Yes, it is very much expected for people to go out to work, travel, everything. But please follow just one small thing, that is use mask. Do not pull down the mask. Follow some sanitization. Please do that, and a social distancing if possible. Right now we are in amidst of festivals, multiple festivals going on back to back. The same, if you compare the same scenario with the last year at the same given point of time, the cases were too much. The only difference was there was no vaccination. Right now we have been vaccinated, reached to a pretty good figures right now, where Mumbai has done maximum, the best in India right now.
All right, and Doctor, at what stage do the authorities decide that we have to take some sort of steps, maybe restrict some of the freedoms that have been given right now? As we said, over the last 5 days, cases over 400.
Oh. If we stop following or stop not using this mask, if we keep continuing this way, and if the doubling rate goes on increasing, rather if we see the cases rising in the similar way, maybe we will again soon be following a compulsive orders of lockdown, which we don't want. We are not happy going to lockdown anymore. So kindly just follow these 3 steps. That thing should be more than enough. But if the number of cases keep on rising this way, probably we will be forced again to come and face lockdown.
Right, that's not something anyone wants, and you said the worry now is going into the festival season, and that's going to be, not just in Mumbai but across Maharashtra, something that will have to be watched closely. Last year as well, we were very worried about this particular period because, people are sort of fed up of all the restrictions and waiting to, go out and meet with family and loved ones. So that's something again that will have to be watched very closely.
Yes. The best part is vaccination, what Mumbai has done right now. Fantastic measures right now taken in Mumbai. Continuous 5 days, that is more than 1 crore plus vaccines given over here, is just superb job, commendable job.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us on the program. So, worry with cases in Mumbai rising, over 400 cases being reported daily for the last 5 days. Welcome back. Now to Assam, where it will reopen schools and colleges for higher secondary to post-graduation level students from today. Assam Education Department issued supplementary standard operating procedure and has allowed reopening of educational institutions for the final year students of higher secondary, graduation and post-graduation. Classes 1 to 11, the first 7 semesters of graduation and first year students of post-graduation will continue for the moment with online classes. For reopening, the institutions are focusing on 2 criteria: will of the students to attend the classes and the COVID positivity rate in particular districts. In other news, a former UP governor, Aziz Qureshi, has been booked for sedition by the UP police for his alleged derogatory remarks against Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath-led government. The FIR was lodged on the complaint of a BJP leader in Rampur on Sunday night. On Saturday, Aziz Qureshi had visited Samajwadi Party MP Azam Khan's wife at her residence in Rampur. In his complaint, the BJP alleged that Aziz Qureshi had compared the UP government to a demon while addressing the media after the meeting. People from all over the country come to Mumbai's Tata Cancer Hospital for treatment. While treatment is available, people have to face many problems for staying during this time. They live on the footpath and it affects the health, and problem worsens over the monsoon period. Here's a special report.
Cancer patient Narayan Suryavanshi eating lunch with his relatives on the pavement outside Tata Memorial Hospital in Mumbai. Today it is banana and rice that someone donated. 3 months ago, Narayan discovered he had stomach cancer. He had to quit work as a labourer in Nanded and has camped outside the hospital since they can't afford lodgings.
घर में थोड़ी से 2-3 बकरियां थे, वो बकरा बेच दिया. बकरा बेचने के बाद भी पैसा कम गिरा. फिर औरत के पास कुछ दागिने थे, मंगलसूत्र जोड़ी है, वो बेच दिए के साथ में पैसा लाएगा. फिर वो लोग आते हैं, कुछ खाना पीना दे देते हैं, वो खाना खा लेते हैं.
There are hundreds of such patients here. Seema Devi from Bihar has been living in Mumbai for 4 months while her husband is treated for cancer. She was given shelter in a school, but with schools about to open now, she is on the streets along with her son.
घर द्वार बाले बच्चा छोड़ करके आए हैं. अभी जो अपने बच्चा के लिए कुछ लाइफ सोचते बनाने के लिए कि अपना बाल बच्चा कुछ पढ़े लिखे, भविष्य आगे बढ़े. उनका भी लाइफ बर्बाद हो रहे हैं एक मरीज के खातिर.
क्या पढ़ाई आपकी शुरू है, बंद है, क्या हो रहा है? बंद कर दिया आपने इलाज के चक्कर में. क्या पढ़ाई कर रहे थे?
12th पास कर गए.
12th पास कर गए.
बारिश भी होता होगा. ये पन्नी अभी लगाया लाए.
डॉक्टर बोल रहे हैं कि बोलो आसे पास में रहना है, जब फोन करेंगे तो आ जाना. तो पैसा नहीं है यहाँ पर. 1000 रुपया 500-700 का घर रूम भाड़ा लेते हैं एक दिन का, तो हम उतना कहाँ से लेंगे?
Some patients have been living on the streets for years now. CEO of Karnal Cancer Foundation says that living on the streets is dangerous to the health of these patients.
These daily wage laborers, they have saved like probably 75,000 rupees. Either they can spend on the treatment or they can spend on the living. They choose to sit on the footpath. What else will they do?
The patients and their relatives are already facing a lot of issues. The expenses that they have to bear every day and staying on the footpath have increased their troubles. Until and unless there is a permanent solution given by the government, there won't be any relief to them or their relatives. In Mumbai, with camera person Praveen Rohit, Sohit Mishra, NDTV.
Now, the lockdown due to corona has left people without incomes. People have become unemployed. Business has come to a standstill. In such a situation, now the number of people taking loans by pledging their gold has increased. In fact, there's been an increase of 77% in gold loans.
Salochna Kale, who lives in Mahatma Phule Nagar in Mumbai, has 3 daughters studying in school. Her husband works as a gardener in a residential society and earns 7,000 a month. 6 months ago, their second daughter was diagnosed with anemia and needed hospitalization. But due to COVID, Salochna's husband was out of work and savings were already exhausted. Left with no other option, she took a loan of 15,000 rupees by mortgaging her Mangal Sutra and an additional 25,000 rupees loan on interest.
लड़की का खून बदन में एकदम कम हो गया था. उसके लिए मुझे अपना सोना गिरवी रखना पड़ा. जिधर 14 पॉइंट खून चाहिए उधर 3 पॉइंट ही खून था उसके बदन में. डॉक्टर ने बोला इसको आईसीयू में डालने की जरूरत है.
56-year-old Sharda lives in the same area. Her husband used to iron clothes, but ever since the COVID lockdown, he hasn't had many customers. Their son used to work as a security guard but is now unemployed. With savings already wiped out, Sharada had to mortgage her gold earrings to ensure the family gets 2 square meals a day.
काहीतरी पोटा पाण्याला लागतेच ना. मग काही ही वस्तू नाही ती वस्तू नाही, वस्तू आणायला लागले त्या त्याच्यासाठी ठेवले. परत
आपल्याला आहेच की दवा पाणी चालून म्हणजे बीपीची गोळी आमच्या मालकासने आपल्याला कुठे सर्दी खोकला नको काय आलं तर त्याची गोळी चालू त्याच्यासाठी लागतोच की पैसा.
According to the RBI report, there have been 77% increase in gold loans between July 2020 and July 2021 compared to the same period in the previous year. There has been a 10% increase in credit card loans as well. Lockdown, unemployment, salary cuts are believed to be the main reasons for this.
बहुत सारे फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रेस लोगों को आए हैं, बहुत लोगों की नौकरियां छूटी हैं, उनके बिजनेस बंद हो गए हैं, उनके पे कट हो गए हैं, सैलरी कट हो गए हैं और लोगों को अपने खर्चे पूरे करने के लिए उनके पास पैसे नहीं थे और निजी खर्चों को पूरा करने के लिए भारत की संस्कृति में जो सबसे सेफ मोड माना जाता है और जिसे महिलाएं भी काफ़ी प्रेफर करती हैं, वो सोना अपने घर में रखती हैं. उन्होंने सोने गिरवी रखने की नौबत आ गई और बैंकों में आप देखेंगे सबसे अधिक गोल्ड लोन इस पीरियड में बढ़ा है. अगर हम ईयर ऑन ईयर की तुलना करें तो पिछले साल 27,000 करोड़ का गोल्ड लोन था जो इस साल बढ़कर 62 जुलाई 2021 की पीरियड में 62,000 करोड़ के करीब जो गोल्ड लोन पहुंच गया.
There have been 15 lakh less jobs in August than in July. According to the CMIE, faced with financial distress, families are now compelled to mortgage their jewelry. The GDP numbers may be indicating a rebound, but those numbers are of little solace to the families struggling to put food on the table. With Suhit Mishra, Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor, NDTV.
Welcome back. Well, let's now focus on the Nipah virus in Kerala, where 2 more people have been identified with symptoms of Nipah virus infection. The Kerala Health Minister, Veena George, has said in Kozhikode yesterday the 2 are among the 20 high-risk contacts of the 12-year-old child who died, and the boy died at a hospital early morning on Sunday. The samples of the boy, which were sent to the National Institute of Virology in Pune, confirmed the presence of the Nipah virus. Now, Nipah virus is spread by the saliva of fruit bats, and the central team visited the house of the boy to collect samples of fruits from around the house. The sample could help identify the source of infection and confirm whether the origin of the infection was through a bat. The team also questioned the family and those close with the deceased to identify the food that he had consumed and animals he may have come in contact with. Well, let's go across to Dr. Romel Tikku, Director Internal Medicine, Max Healthcare, for more on this. And Doctor, so worrying that Kerala, which is already dealing with COVID pandemic and seeing high cases, now has this 1 case of a death from the Nipah virus and 2 more suspected cases.
Well, this is really something to worry about because we know that the mortality of this particular virus is pretty high. It's 40 to 75%. And already we are dealing with the ongoing pandemic. The positives are we are more prepared right now because of the experience that we've had it in the past. Kerala has had outbreaks in the past as well. This is the 3rd outbreak in the last 4 years. It started in 2018 in Kerala when 18 odd people got infected and the mortality was very high. 17 people died. And in 2019, only 1 person. See, at that point of time, we were not well prepared. Only after a few deaths happened, we were able to diagnose the disease. But right now, we're more prepared. Only 1 person has been infected. He has unfortunately died within 4 days of admission. But now we have to make sure that the others don't get infected. The area, the village where it's found should have restrictions, and there should be active surveillance, tracing of contact, and quarantining those who have been in touch, or especially the ones who had symptoms like Nipah virus. The symptoms are same more or less: fever, headache, body ache, sore throat. And if it progresses to your brain, encephalitis, it usually becomes fatal, and that's when you get seizures, disorientation, drowsiness. So it is a dangerous virus.
And Doctor, if you could tell us more about this virus, for our viewers, this comes from fruit bats, and why is it that we have seen these outbreaks only in Kerala?
See, the fruit bats are mostly found in that area. The host is the fruit bat, and it can infect other animals like cats, dogs, sheep, and horses. And humans get infected when they are in direct contact with pigs or such animals. Or there can be infection when they consume contaminated fruit, which is eaten by these fruit bats. Or there's a human-to-human transmission. In 2018, the index case, the first case, got infected from contaminated fruits. And in this case, we don't know how this particular boy has been infected. So that is important, how it has come to this particular boy. And then we have to make sure if it comes from farms, pig farms, then culling of those pigs, cleaning, disinfecting that. If it comes from fruits, then we have to take precautions, clean the fruit properly, peel it off, eat it. I mean, it depends how it gets in.
And once it crosses to the human, then the human can go ahead and spread it, which is why they've found some 20 people this boy has come into contact with, and they're checking all of them.
Yeah, there's human-to-human transmission. It's a droplet infection, the way it happens with COVID. Close contact with an infected person, if he coughs, sneezes, or if you're in direct contact with fluids, blood, urine, then you can get infected. And the incubation period is 4 to 14 days. But as I said earlier, the mortality is very high, so we have to be extremely vigilant. We have to make sure that this doesn't spread. The positives are that right now in the healthcare workers, most of them are wearing PPEs. We are taking all the precautions. Even normal public is wearing masks. So I'm sure we'll be able to contain it. But yes, we have to be vigilant. We don't want this another headache in the middle of the pandemic.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Tikku, for joining us on the program. Time for us to slip into a short break now. Coming up on the other side, another big farmer gathering planned for Karnal. Prohibitory orders are declared. Welcome back. Prohibitory orders banning large gatherings have been imposed in Haryana's Karnal, where farmers have planned another mega gathering on Tuesday. There's tension in the area at the site of the August 28 violence, which enraged farmers. Demands have been raised for the dismissal of Ayush Sinha, the IS officer from Karnal, whose direction to the police to crack heads was caught on camera, and it evoked outrage. Sinha, who is the sub-divisional magistrate of Karnal, has been transferred from that post. Well, let's go across to Ghazali now for more. And Ghazali, prohibitory orders put in place after the violence that took place there earlier, but farmers also determined to have this mega gathering tomorrow.
Yeah, yesterday we saw what happened in Muzaffarnagar, and that certainly has given confidence to all the farm union leaders that after every time they give a call, a large gathering of farmers can mobilize between Punjab, Haryana and UP. And that is why even from the stage of that Mahapanchayat yesterday, Balbir Singh Rajewal, one of the farm union faces who is leading the protest, he said that on 7th of September, that is on Tuesday, we will gather in Karnal, because we had given an ultimatum of 1 week to Haryana government to either take some concrete action against that IAS officer, whose video went viral where he was seen instructing the cops to break skulls of farmers and all. So DGP of Haryana last week here held a meeting there in Karnal with the district and police officials to ensure that no untoward incident happens. A traffic advisory have been issued by the Haryana police for Tuesday for the movement of people from Delhi, Chandigarh or Chandigarh towards Delhi. So there are expectations, there are chances that large number of farmers will again gather in Karnal district to sort of seek and ask the government to take action against the officials who were involved in the lathi charge that day. And other demands also include giving compensation to those who are injured. There was one farmer who died. Farmers claim that he died of the lathi charge, while the district administration still denies that. So there is a build-up to that entire tense atmosphere. Every time this happens in Haryana, we see that how highways are blocked and farmers from across the state, they gather in one particular district after a call is given by the farmers union. So that the same situation is expected tomorrow in Karnal.
All right, Ghazali, thanks so much for joining us with those details. Well, let's now take a look at that gathering that took place in Muzaffarnagar yesterday. As Ghazali was saying, there was a massive gathering, Mahapanchayat, that was held in Muzaffarnagar. In other news now, a sedition case has been filed against former UP, Uttarakhand, in fact, former UP and Uttarakhand Governor Aziz Qureshi. A case was filed in the Rampur town by a BJP worker. Now, the FIR says that Qureshi used derogatory words against the UP Chief Minister. He compared Chief Minister Aditya Nath to a monster. Qureshi had gone to Rampur to meet Samajwadi Party leader and MP Azam Khan's wife. Remember, Azam Khan is in jail since 2020 over alleged corruption. Qureshi, who served as governor in Uttarakhand and Mizoram, also addressed the media after that, where he allegedly made these remarks, for which now a sedition case has been filed against him. The Enforcement Directorate has opened a lookout circular against former Maharashtra Home Minister Anil Deshmukh. Remember, the ED is probing the money laundering allegations that have been made against Anil Deshmukh. Deshmukh has skipped summons of the Enforcement Directorate in this case. The ED has opened a lookout notice, a circular against Deshmukh to prevent him from leaving the country. Let's now get you the latest COVID data that's been released by the Health Ministry. 68.75 crore vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. 38,948 new cases have been reported in the last 24 hours. Active cases account for 1.23% of total cases. India's active caseload has gone now over 4 lakh. It's 4,04,874. If we take a look at the weekly positivity rate, it's 2.58%, less than 3% for the last 73 days.